Hi, my name is Uchidi. This channel is all about fun art challenges. For today's challenge, I will be doing another tutorial book challenge, but this time it will be drawing with Sports Illustrated for kids. I know it's for kids, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from it, right? So let's get started. I decided to do another tutorial book in 4 hours challenge because I felt like I got a lot of practice from the previous one. Plus, I wanted to try a different book. As you can guess, the idea of this challenge is to finish this drawing with Sports Illustrated book in 4 hours and with no break. I chose this book because I thought it would be beneficial to be able to draw sports poses in the future, and looking at it initially, it seemed easy enough. As usual, I would like to give you an idea of my current skill before diving into the tutorial book. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of sports, so I'm definitely not familiar with the poses or uniforms, and I thought it would be easiest to go with a baseball character. I guess there are probably a lot of things you were thinking after I finished this, but let's save that for the critique later. Now, to get started on the challenge, the first section of this book is all about baseball poses. Everything is broken into a 4-step process and, wait. Somehow it goes from a super rough drawing into a super finished one. How am I supposed to even copy that when there aren't even any tips or recommendations? How would kids even learn from this? But I guess I'll just have to go with looking and copying what I see, starting with the stick figure and hopefully somehow turning it into a coherent sketch. I think the first drawing took about 10 to 15 minutes to complete, as I was getting used to the style of the drawing and the process. After a few more, I was starting to go a little bit faster with each pose. The more difficult poses tended to be the ones with a lot of equipment because, as you can guess, I don't even know what their use is for outside of maybe protection. But these pieces tended to be difficult to draw since I can't imagine what it would look like in real life. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, these drawings are essentially for kids to copy, but don't give any additional details outside of the line work. And after baseball, we go into basketball. These poses tended to be more dynamic than the baseball ones, and 3-dimensional, but I was having difficulty in getting the perspective aspect into my sketches. Plus, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I really am not great at drawing shoes. You would think by this point I would be more comfortable because pretty much everyone is wearing the same style of shoes, but I figured this challenge is more about speed than detail, so I wanted to focus on the pose more so than the shoes. Oh, and yay for some female representation, though I think there are only like 3 girls in this whole book. The next sport that the book goes into is American football, and surprisingly I kind of enjoyed drawing these poses because I felt like everyone was super muscular, and I tried to emphasize that in my sketches. Though the hardest thing about football was getting the proportions right with their muscular bodies and the protection gear pad things that they were wearing. Plus, I pretty much gave up on drawing helmets because they had too many details. In some cases, my helmets looked like something a car racer would wear or maybe an astronaut. For the last section, we get into hockey, which is a sport I know the least about and the one I had the most trouble drawing due to all of the equipment. I'm still wondering why they included hockey instead of soccer, but since I was running short on time and probably because I like the sport the least of the 4, I just tried to speed through the sketches. Again, I didn't put too much detail in the helmet or equipment, but looking back at the drawings, this is a huge part of what makes hockey hockey. I think in some of the sketches you're able to tell what sport it is because of the hockey stick, but for the most part to me, they don't look like they are necessarily playing hockey. And let's just skip this part and move on to the after practice piece. This time it ended up taking a little less than 4 hours to finish this book, so yay! I was able to complete the challenge in time. To celebrate, we can see how much I improved. I didn't mention this in the current skill drawing, but I decided I would spend about 30 minutes for each pose. I was able to make the 30-minute mark in the first one, but ended up taking about 40 minutes for the redraw because I was struggling with the sketching part. I decided to go with one of the first poses in the book to give this character because he's left-handed, and for some reason I completely messed up on the hand placement in the original. In case you forgot, let's take a look at them side by side. The original has a super weird pose, but more so than that, I realized after the fact his hand placement is off. He should be a righty in this picture, but his hand placement is for a lefty. Plus, his overall pose is kind of hard to tell if he's going to hit or just standing there with a bat. Surprisingly, for the original, I did pretty much get the uniform right though. But I completely forgot to have him wear a helmet. The proportions are a little weird too, and compared to the new drawing, it's actually pretty bad. With the new drawing, since the character is actually in motion, I think he looks a little cooler. I decided to change up what he's wearing by giving him gloves, and of course he got a helmet for safety. I always have difficulty in placing the drawing on the page, so the whole body can fit. And the practice the book gave me helped with this, since while you're starting with a stick figure, at least it gives you an idea of how the body flows in the process. Since the book was primarily about posing for sports, it easily can be used across different styles of artwork. I worked well with the character I randomly made at the beginning. This time around, for the 4-hour challenge, I wanted to see if there were any books on Kindle Unlimited to try out that would be useful. I chose this particular book because I thought it would be easy, but after finishing it, I wonder how kids are even supposed to use it to learn to draw. Without any tips, it's really just about copying more so than anything else. And while I did get a lot of good practice with sports poses, I feel like this book would be more of a good pose reference than an actual tutorial book. I don't think I would have tried out this book in any other circumstance, so it was fun to try something new and force myself to stick with it until the end. This is the second time I'm doing this challenge, but I still think it's a great way to practice different drawing styles and force yourself to draw quicker as well. If you enjoyed watching this, I definitely recommend trying it out for yourself. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, please like or leave a comment below, and of course, I would be super happy if you hit the subscribe button. See you next time!